Hi students, I will continue with section 6.3, character input and output. Okay, so all of the data that you are either reading or outputting, it's going to be treated as characters. So if you're going to output the number 10, even though it's a number, it is composed of two characters, the 1 and the 0. And this is the same for output and for input. Okay, so the interpretation of 10, of these two characters put together, okay, and being interpreted as number 10, it depends on the program. But that conversion happens automatically, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay? You declare it as an integer, for example, and the compiler will know it's a number. At the very beginning of the course, I mentioned that C++ is a high-level programming language, meaning that it has most of its features are automatic. But there are some low-level functions for character input and output in C++. Now these do not perform any automatic conversions. Everything is done manually. Okay, and why would you want to do that if you're already dealing with a high-level programming language? Well, there are some things that require you to perform some manual coding. So it gives you more more control of what you're doing. Okay, and I'll give you some examples right now. The first thing that we're going to learn regarding the low-level character input and output is one member function called get. So add this one to your list. This get, it's only for input streams. Okay, so this one it's going to get or read one character from an input stream. So you're getting from input. And it's going to store that character of type char, okay, in the single argument the function takes. So this member function only has one argument inside the parentheses. It does not use the extraction operator. So this extraction operator, the carets, okay, are going to perform some automatic work. So get is manual and the carets are automatic. And I'll show you the difference right now. This get is not going to skip any blanks. So if you have a space, like for example this one, get is going to read it. Same thing with the enter. So if you hit enter, if you have an end line, a new line, it's going to read that one as well. How do you use it? Okay, so you first need to declare the variable that you're going to use in the argument. So I mentioned it's only one argument. Okay, and you're going to connect it. This is for input from the keyboard, but you can also connect it so that you have input from a file. And every single character will be read, including blank spaces and the new line. And this is a syntax. Here they're connecting it to the input stream. So it would be, well, this one can be either the cin, okay, from the keyboard, or the in stream from the file. Then you have get, and you have your argument. This one you can call it whatever you want. Okay, so here you have next symbol, okay, and you put it as your argument. Okay, so here's a difference between using the carets, okay, the caret operator or the get. So you have three variables here of type character, C1, C2, and C3. Then we call get 3 times. And the first thing that it's going to read, it's going to go to C1, the second one to C2, and the third one to C3. Okay, let's say that you have this input right here. You have A, B, and then C and D in the next line. Okay, in C1, the first thing it's going to get or read, it's going to be A. So that's why C1 equals to A. Then for C2, it's going to get the next one. The next one is B. So that's why C2 has a B. But then the next one, it's not C. It's the enter that you hit in order to go to the next line and type C. So C3 is going to have that new line after B. Notice that it goes, if you go to the next one, it's going to go to the next line. So that would be C3. Now, on the contrary, if you were using the cin with the carets, if you read C1, it's going to read the first character. If you read C2, it's going to read the second character. And if you read C3, it's going to read the third character. So cin is going to skip any spaces and any new lines, but get is going to get all of them. Okay, so maybe you want to use that get in order to read to the end of the line. So let's say that you have a document, okay, and you only want to read the first line. Okay, you have it from the file. Okay, so remember that you have like a target or a sentinel. That's the one that you're going to use in your condition. You want to stop whenever you find a new line. Okay, so here, well, first you need to prompt the user, enter a line of input, and I will echo it. Okay, and then here you have, this is your argument for the get. Okay, and you're going to put it in a do while. Okay, so you're going to get, let's say that you have a sentence, the dog runs, and then period and new line. Okay, so here you're going to get the first symbol. Okay, the first symbol is a T for the dog. Okay, so it's T, and then it outputs the T. Okay, so the symbol T is not a new line. So this is true, it goes back again. It gets the next one, H. Okay, it outputs the H and then it checks. Okay, so it goes again. Then E. Okay, so it outputs the E, it checks, and then space. Okay, so it gets the space, outputs the space, and then it checks, and then dog, and then runs, I think I said runs, and then the period at the end also gets it and outputs it, checks, but then after that period, okay, it's going to have the new line. So it's going to get the new line, it's going to output the new line, and then it's going to check. Okay, so now the symbol equals the new line, and it's going to go out of the loop. So all of the characters, all of the sentence, the dog runs, period, new line, including the new line, will be outputted in this code. Now, notice here that for symbol, since it's a character, it's a type character, okay, they put it inside single quotes. Okay, so what's the difference between single quotes and double quotes? Whenever you have the \n, okay, so since it means new line, it's read as one character. Okay, so yes, you can put it as type character. Okay, and if you put it in double quotes, it's a string, but it doesn't matter. If you see out it, you're going to see exactly the same thing. It's gonna go to a new line. Okay, so it makes no difference. It depends on the data type that you're dealing with. Okay, now the function that it's contrary to get, because remember from get you are reading out, you're reading input. Okay, it's another member function called put. This put is for output only. Okay, so it works exactly the same way as get, but the other way around. So get reads one character at a time, including spaces and new lines, and put is going to output one character at a time, including spaces and new lines. Okay. This is a syntax, so this is the output stream. Like I said, you can connect it to the cout or to a file. Okay, you put the member function put, and then it also has one argument, which is going to be the symbol or the character that you want to output. Then we have put back. This put back member function, it's going to, well, like the name says, it's going to put back the character in the input stream. Let's say you read the character, you already got the character from the member function get, okay, but you don't want to process it because you don't need it. So it's kind of like it returns it back to the input stream, and I'll show you an example with code right now. Okay, so here it is. So the following code reads up to the first blank in the input stream fin and writes the characters to the file connected to the output stream fout. Okay, the blank space read to the end of the loop is put back into the input stream. Okay, so I have the code right here. It's the same one from the slide. Okay, so here, let's say that you have, I don't know, you have this written down. So you have cat, dog. Okay, so you're gonna go here to the first line. This is from a file. Okay, so you get next. Okay, so you're going to get, let me put it in another color. Well, you're gonna get C. Okay, so here next is C. Then you're gonna come here to the while, and you're going to check that C, or next, is not equal to the space. So C, is it equal to the space? No. So you can go here. So that means that you're going to output C. Okay, and then it's gonna go and it's going to get the next one. So now they are getting A. Okay, so it's gonna go up here and it's going to compare A to the space. Okay, so you can proceed. So now it's going to put, meaning that it's going to output A. And it's gonna get the next one. So now it's gonna get T. And it's gonna come up here and it's gonna check for T. Okay, so it outputs T, and it's gonna go and it's gonna get the next one. But what's the next one? A space. Okay, so you put your space here. Now it's gonna come up here and it's gonna check if the space is the same as this space right here. Okay, so this one next is equal to the space, so this is false. So after you're done with that, okay, it's gonna go out. Okay, so you only displayed cat without the space, but the space was red here. So all it's doing is it's putting back the space, it's putting it back to the input stream. Like, okay, I only needed this 3, so this one I read it, but I don't need it, so I just want to put it back so it's no longer red. Okay, so that's how the put back works. So you have put and get in this code. Okay, now yes, you can mix the cin caret and the cin get, but it's not recommended. Okay, because remember that the cin, it's only going to read, it's not going to read any spaces or new lines, and the get is going to. And here's an example. You have this dialog here. Enter a number, okay, 21, then enter a letter A. Okay, but if you do it with a cin and a get, okay, guess what's going to be read with the get? It's going to read the new line. Okay, because you enter 21 and you hit enter. Okay, so what's going to be stored in symbol is going to be the new line, not the A. Okay, so one way to fix this, that's why I'm telling you I don't recommend that you mix the cin and the cin get, or the cin carets and the cin get. It's because it can get a little bit confusing. Okay, unless it's a very specific situation. But a way to fix this is like just to use the cin and cin. So don't mix it here. Okay, I'm not gonna go over slide 81 because we're not covering this function right here. So skip slide 81. And then we go to slide 82. So we already covered one way of reading to the end of the file in the previous video. But we have a member function that will do this for you. And this member function is called EOF. So it's going to be .EOF. Okay, and it stands for end of file. And it's going to be a Boolean value. Okay, so whenever it reaches, okay, the end of file, it's going to be true. Okay, if you have more data that you can read, then it's going to be false. And the way we use it is inside an if statement. So you're going to say, if it is not the end of file, do this. Okay, so whenever it's not the end of the file, you're going to execute some code. Okay, and we have it, well, actually here we have it in a while. So you can use it in an if, a while, any loop that you want. So as long as it's this condition. Okay, so here, this loop reads each character and writes it to the screen. So it's, you have a file, you're going to get, okay, you're going to get every single character. Okay, so you get the first one, you output it. You get the next one, you output it. So you're going to do that, get character by, you get and put, well, not put, here you're just outputting, but it's the same thing. You're going to read and output each individual character, including spaces and new lines, until you reach the end of the file. Okay, so that's what this code right here is doing. Okay, so the end of the file is going to be indicated by a special character. So the thing here is that the EOF is still going to be true after the last character of data is read. Then it's going to become false when the special end of file character is read. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember when we were inputting the names of the files, that I told you that inside the brackets that you should always put one more, like an extra one. That's because of a null character. Okay, so this is kind of like the same thing. So there's a special character at the end that it's invisible, you don't see it, but it's the EOF, it's going to read it. Once it reads it, then it's going to become false. Okay, so these are the two methods that we covered. This one was from the previous video, and this is the current one. And how do you know which one to use? Okay, the one with the member function, EOF, this one is more useful whenever you have text. Okay, so if you are reading a document that contains text. Okay, the one with the extraction operator, the one from the previous video, it works better with numbers. So whenever you have a file with numbers, then it is recommended that you use the first one. Okay, so here's an example program. This program is going to read every character of the file, and it's going to copy it, okay, to another file, but it's going to edit it. Okay, so, and it's going to preserve all of the line breaks. So let me show you first the file that we are reading. So this is the file that we're reading. Okay, so you have C is one of the world's most modern programming languages. There is no language as versatile as C, and C is fun to use. Okay, what you're going to be doing is that you're going, this is an input file. For the output, you're going to be editing this so that instead of saying C, okay, it now says C++. Okay, and how are you going to do that? Okay, so if you open, okay, hold on, source code 0608, okay, and I already have it here. Well, I changed the extensions. This is the file that I showed you right now for the input. Okay, with that one right there. And don't forget to add the system pause here and over here. Okay, and it's going to be stored in another file, an output file that it's going to be created C+AD. Okay, so all you're doing here in the main function, okay, so you open the files, you check whether they're open correctly or not, and then I call this function add++. It has two parameters. One for if stream, okay, so I'm going to be passing fin, which is connected to the input file. Then for the off stream, the output file stream, okay, I'm going to be passing fout, which is connected to this one. And remember that you must use call by reference. Okay, so what's going on here in this function? Okay, so you have character next, and you have this connected to the file. So you're going to read the first character in your file. So that means that you're going to be reading C. Then it's going to check that it's not the end of the file, so it's going to stop right here at the end of the file. Then it's going to say, if the character you read is equal to C, so if it's equal to C, this one it's equal to C, then it's going to output in the output file C++. Else it's going to output the next character. So in this case, it's going to output C++. Okay, then it's going to get another character. Okay, so the next character that it's going to get is a space. Okay, so it's going to come here and it's going to check it's not the end of the file. Is it equal to C? No. So it's going to output the space. Then it's going to get the next one, I. Okay, not the end of file, not equal to C, so it outputs I. And it's going to continue that until it gets to the C again. So it's still not the end of file, but it's equal to C. So instead of C, it's going to output C++. And it's going to continue doing that until it reaches the end of the file. So after the period, okay, that's going to be the end of the file. So if we compile this, okay, so begin editing, end of editing. So now let's look for our output file, C plus AD. Okay, here it is. Okay, so notice that all of the C's were replaced with C++. The rest of the program remained the same. Okay, so it was reading and outputting, except for the C's. Instead of outputting C, it output C++. Okay, so this is the code that I just run, and this is the input, the output that you just saw. And I will be stopping right here. I will continue with the very last, how many, like 5 slides upon my return, and we will have the quiz for this chapter as well. Thank you guys. Have a nice weekend.